Hello and welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. Well, I've been thinking if I had to start all over again and really find something that was long lasting and would take me from the low levels, the best stuff of the low levels, to like a good solid placement in the mid range of the hi-fi gear that's on the market, I would say that this would be my solution. What I would do is I would just stop listening to all the normal gear. Stop reading reviews, stop going to shows, stores, stuff like that. And personally, knowing what I know now, if I had that luxury, I would go back in time with a time machine and tell myself to just get a YBA Heritage A100 and just get that for like $1,000 used, or I don't know, $1,500 used. I would do that, and then I would combine it with like a Fantasy set of speakers. And if I lived in America, I could probably get it for like $500 or something like $1,500 new. I would also make sure that I would get it with those built-in, what's it called, feet, spikes, base, whatever it's called. So this is how they look, and there's these spikes that get into it with this whole base. So you need that for it to really be worth anything. And that's what I would do. That would be really cheap, really efficient, and then I would just go with like the cheap summer cable elephant speaker cable, great value. I would be able to manipulate that cable by putting my own shielding on, CMC gold banana plugs. That's just it, that's just it. And then I would just start off with like using my PC and just stream directly from that, either the motherboard or the sound card, which is even better. And then just use like a cable like this, jack phono cable. I did it to start with in one of my first systems. And it goes surprisingly far, that sound. You don't necessarily have to start off with a DAC. That can really give you a lot of value. And I would have it in this small room, 15, 20 square meters, and that would just be like, yeah, great, great, great first system, like a really good, solid first system. And and then perhaps later I'll probably get into like a DAC, AudioNote DAC 2.1 or AudioNote CD2 for a better sound. But I wouldn't have to do it immediately. I could wait like several years before I did that. And I would have like a fantastic, great value system. And then later on, when I get bored and I'm starting to think like, ooh, yeah, I'm really missing out by all of this new technology. What I would do is then I would just buy RCA ports and audio note speaker silver terminals, Maestro silver terminals, that's speaker terminals, and just use like some SP19 silver cable on it. Get that upgraded. Suddenly my amp that only costs like $1,000 is worth more than $10,000 just from that $500 upgrade. And trust me, when I say $10,000, it could easily beat a lot of 20,000 buck amplifiers out there easily. And this would like be, if I was really poor, I could settle with this for life, not even having an AudioNote DAC or an AudioNote CD player. Of course, it would be like at least 2.5 or most likely 3 times better with this on it. But I mean, I could settle with that. Let's just say that if I had some kind of a shitty job or whatever, and I only had to like once in a lifetime, what's it called, offer where I could use a couple of $1,000, I would just throw all of my money into that and then just do that and then nothing more for the rest of my life. If I had to, if I knew that I would be in that situation, that's what I would do. Because one thing you have to realize is that sometimes less is a lot more than you think it is. Just having some very few components in a very small room that it has a pretty good pressure and not too much bad stuff happening in that room. I mean, you can get a lot of good sound by just having a 15 to 20 square meter room. I would though prefer 20 square meters because it makes it a hell of a lot easier. But that would actually make it doable. And also one thing I want to stress is that when you have these small rooms, it does something to the sound. I feel it somehow makes it more intimate and kind of puts it all together. So you don't have to feel bad if you don't have like a big room that I have now. I have a room that's almost 50 square meters, and I have to tell you, it's a lot of it takes a lot to fill a room that's 50 square meters, almost 50 square meters, and keeping it high class. I mean, you have to invest many times a lot of money for that to happen. But a lot of people, they just do this, that they just get some kind of a tonally imbalanced tube amp that's overly warm. Then they have like an old farty speaker that also again is a bit warm, and then they just let that room kind of thin that sound out naturally, so it just becomes a bit less obvious how bad it is. I've seen a lot of people do this, but so yeah, just realize, just because you only have like 15 or 20 square meters, don't feel that you're missing out on too much. Again, sometimes less is more, especially when you hit it just right, like I did here with this combination. I had something that was very similar to this, not this exact model, but I heard this model here and I heard it upgraded, and I'm telling you guys, you know, this could easily beat most amplifiers on the market when it's fully upgraded. You just wouldn't recognize the sound. It just gets so much better. But even without the upgrade, you know, it's still a decent all-round sound. And, you know, if you only have 15, 20 square meters, it's plenty for most speakers. Even for a speaker that is a bit heavy, a bit high demanding on power, you could still run it with this, and it could still sound good and intimate. And you wouldn't have to feel ashamed inviting your friends over to listen to this. It would actually be like, it could easily compete with all the new models that they have in the store that costs so much more. So very good, simply very good tip. I think that would do it. I wouldn't be able to use more than $10,000 all in all, and it would beat most systems. I'm pretty sure it will beat most systems up to 50k. I mean, of course, there's like once in a while you get some insanely good value gear, like let's just say get a Denafrep stack, and you get some Tektron speakers. What more can we dream up? And then you get something like a used JJ 828 used amplifier, you know. I mean, that could also compete with this and probably beat this in theory, but it's still around the same price. And I still think somehow this is better. This is more original. This is more raw. This is more flawed in a way where it's not hiding stuff in order to make it seem good. It's I think it's important when you have a system that, even though it doesn't feel like the best in the world, that it still has a bit of rawness, a bit of originality and flawed type of sound where sorry guys, I'm really coughing today. I just feel that it's important to have that. Whereas a lot of the newer gear that's coming out on the market, it has this type of polite black level type of music where it suppresses a lot of noise, and you just don't feel like listening to a lot of good music. You just end up listening to like the latest Mariah Carey music, or Nicki Minaj, or Drake, or whatever new studio beat music that exists, and it just becomes, listening to gear instead of music. So yeah, I mean, some of those good value offers, they can do technical aspects on a higher level sometimes, but I think it's more important to remember that even though that you can buy a speaker, a bit like Tektron speakers, I mean, they're fantastically good value, very dynamic. They can do a lot of stuff that's really impressive, but you also have to think that what happens when you have so many units on a speaker? How far do you sit away from the sound? What other type of gear do you then have to use? How close are you going to get to getting that real intimate feel of the artist? And how much is it just going to be biased towards certain types of mechanical aspects of the sound? Because we know that, gear that sells is usually gear that promotes a lot of bass, that rolls off the top end, and gives you the illusion of a lot of black level. That is how most good value gear on the market works, and we all know the brands that do that. And I feel that when you're going into this type of sound, this is a more of an old-fashioned, raw, original, flawed type of sound that would, for some people, seem like a step backwards. But trust me, it's actually several steps forwards, because even though you're getting a very overall good sound, you're still getting a lot of realness, a lot of responsiveness, and a lot of that inner beauty and reaction. And with a lot of these helping systems in the bottom, and you're getting a lot of that DSP, DSD type of sound that's, suppressing and biasing the sound too much. So this is what I would do. And if I had a bit more money, then I would go for something even better. Then I would do this. If I only could pick one system, and tell myself, the past self, don't make these choices. Don't listen to this crap gear. And this is how it's going to sound. And here is the money. Just use that, and then just save a lot of time. Then I would just buy this here. Seriously. If I had a bit more money than up here, a bit more than 4 or 10k, then I would actually do this, and then just say to myself, okay, this is my system for life. Audio Note amplifier Maestro, 10 years used, $3,000, sometimes even cheaper. Audio Note CD2, I think CD2.1 signature, I think that's a lot better, but yeah. 2,000-3,000. Audio Note top line A&E with the bottom model LX, $3,000 used about, and then the DAC, and then just go with that. Pick a smallish type of room, 20 or 25 square meters maybe, for this setup to fully flex its muscles. And then, then I know, having spent this amount of money, which is probably around a bit more than 10k, then I know that it will beat most systems at audio shows and in stores for the next 10 or 20 years. And that's what I would do if I had to go back in time, only knowing that I could only produce a small amount of money and I had to get a lot of value. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And this is like how it looks. Audio Note Maestro, CD player, the DAC, and then these are like the speakers. I can't even remember if the bottom model has a blue or a black unit. I think they have black units. I'm not sure. And that's it. You know, that could make me for the rest of my life actually just satisfy me, so I don't feel that I'm missing out on anything. I mean, yeah, if I then would go to friends' places and hear, audio gear or like some of the best Negra or Spectral gear in the world, of course I would feel like I'm losing out on something. But if I didn't do that and I had to go back in time and I had that small amount of money and I could only pick 1 or 2 systems, this is my plan. This is what I would do. Just cut through the whole bullshit of the market and then just do this. Yeah, that's my that's what I would do. So maybe you would do something else. You can tell me about it in the comments. Have a nice day.